Welcome to this week's edition of the OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show. Now from Columbus, here's Marty Bannister.
The regional football playoffs have reached their fourth and final round, which means that it's the first trophy week for the Ohio High School Athletic Association football postseason. We welcome you to this week's edition of the Ohio High School Athletic Association Football Playoff Preview Show. I'm your host, Marty Bannister. We thank you for being with us for the next 30 minutes as we set the scene all across Ohio for this week's playoff games. The regional championship games are on tap for Friday night across the state, when 28 teams will claim regional titles and move on to the state semifinals Thanksgiving weekend. Once again this week, all games are at neutral sites, and all games kick at 7 o'clock this Friday night. This week we'll go inside the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, which is beside the Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium and the site of the Ohio High School Athletic Association Football State Championship games, and we'll take a look at many of their regional matchups. But first, let's step aside for these messages from the Ohio High School Athletic Association, and when we come back, we'll go inside the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This is the OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show.
Ready?
It doesn't matter if you're playing hard or working hard. Your workout only works out if you recover right.
Recover.
Chocolate milk helps you recover for what comes next. It's delicious and contains the right mix of protein and carbs to help refuel exhausted muscles.
Ready? Recover. Repeat. Chocolate Milk, the official beverage of high school sports, is brought to you by the American Dairy Association Mideast.
We welcome you back to the OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show. I'm your host, Marty Bannister. We would like to thank all of our show sponsors, including the OHSAA Radio Network, which will broadcast all 7 state championship games live from Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton, November 30th, December 1st, as well as on December 2nd. Tickets are on sale at ohsaa.org/tickets. You've heard it before on this show and others that Ohio is very fortunate to have the Pro Football Hall of Fame right in our own backyard and located right beside the stadium that plays host to the OHSAA Football State Finals. The road to Canton not only takes teams and fans to Stark County for a shot at a state title, but it also provides an opportunity to walk among the football immortals in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Welcome to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, where our mission is to honor the greatest of the game, preserve its history, promote its values, and celebrate excellence together. And together, these weeks means the Ohio High School Athletic Association State Football Playoffs. And we can't wait for fans on their road to Canton to also stop at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, where there is so much to see about the game from the high school level, college level, and pro level. Let's point out a few things. When you first come in the door at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you're going to see our exhibit honoring the class of 2023, but you're also going to see some cases that we've put together specifically highlighting Hall of Famers who played high school football in Ohio. Like this direction, we have a jersey from Alan Page, who wore that when he played for Canton Central Catholic High School, before he went on to Notre Dame, before he went on to the Minnesota Vikings and Chicago Bears, and before he became a Minnesota Supreme Court Justice. That book and that jersey represent Alan. That program is from 1938, the Massillon Tigers and Canton McKinley Bulldogs, and it's there because the hat that goes with belonged to Paul Brown. And before Paul Brown coached the Browns to a Hall of Fame career and put things into the game that still exists today, he coached at Ohio State and he coached at Massillon, where he won state championships with the Tigers. The Massillon Tigers this year hope to win a championship on the field. They're looking good so far. You know, that program honoring Paul Brown is from 1938, and it represents one of the oldest rivalries in Ohio. Massillon Tigers, Canton McKinley Bulldogs. You know, there's other rivalries in this state, almost as old, like Dover, New Philadelphia, Lorraine, Elyria, Troy, Piqua. Here we go, Massillon and McKinley. It's something big in Stark County every year. Elsewhere in this area are some other high school exhibits. I want to point out Darrell Rivas's helmet there from Aliquippa High School. Aliquippa has the honor of sending 3 Hall of Famers to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That is the most. Around the corner in this exhibit is a jersey worn by Zach Thomas when he played high school football in Texas for a team called the Harvesters. Ohio's got some great nicknames, the Philo Electrics, the Thornton Sheridan Generals. I'm going to put my money on Pampa Harvesters as one of the best. When you enter the first main portion of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, one of the things you're going to see is the history of the game evolving over decades. You're also going to see this immense statue, and the statue title says it all, Jim Thorpe, the legend. Jim Thorpe played for the Canton Bulldogs in the earliest years of the National Football League. He actually led the Bulldogs to back-to-back titles. He also represents great inclusion in the game. As a Native American, he was one of several on the Canton Bulldogs. And in the earliest years of the NFL, diversity wasn't an issue. Native Americans, African Americans were all pivotal players on National Football League teams in its earliest years. Everything in the game of football has evolved, from the size of the players to the equipment that they wear. You know, there's high school teams on their road to Canton with bigger lines than pro teams as recently as the 50s or 60s. Nothing has changed any more than the equipment that we wear. From the original molded cleats to today's cleats, from the old leather helmets to today's polycarbonate protective shells, the original woolen jerseys to today's stretch materials. Everything evolves as the game itself evolves. What's special about this, you can put your hands on all of it, try it on, see how it's evolved over the years. Maybe try your luck at passing this more pumpkin-shaped football than what kids are used to today. So a gentleman named Benny Friedman from Cleveland Public Schools was one of the best at throwing this balloon-shaped football. He was so good that he played for a team that went against the New York Giants and did well, and the owner of the New York Giants was so impressed that he bought the Detroit franchise just so he could get Benny to be his quarterback in New York.
Also inside the rotunda is a complete history of pro football from its earliest days before the National Football League was founded in Canton in 1920, all the way up through the modern era. You'll learn about some of the greats of the game and some of its historic records.
Well, welcome to the Hall of Fame Gallery. Some people call it the Bronze Bust Gallery. In here is where the 371 bronze busts are, representing the members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, players, coaches, and contributors. In this room are 28 people from the state of Ohio, 5 of them with roots in Stark County. Paul Brown grew up in Massillon, although he was born in Norwalk. Alan Page from Canton, Len Dawson from Alliance, Dan Deerdorf from Canton, and Marion Motley from Canton.
No visit to the Pro Football Hall of Fame would be complete without a visit to the Game for Life Theater. Make sure you set aside a few minutes to see that showing. It runs about 18 minutes long. It tells the story of a handful of players and some of the obstacles they needed to overcome to become professional football players. It promotes the values that we talk about at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, like courage and commitment and integrity. So you'll hear from guys like Curtis Martin, Warren Moon, Steve Largent, Jim Kelly, and the great Jim Brown about what it took to become a standout in the National Football League. And they teach life lessons that apply to everyone in the game today, so be sure to see that.
A short walk away from the Game for Life Theater is the Pro Football Today Gallery, and it's here that you're going to see artifacts and exhibits that are very current to the NFL season. From 2023, 2022, maybe 2021, but not much older than that. It's a lot of new stuff. It's a lot of stuff that represents records being broken in the game, like C.J. Stroud, went to the Texans as the number 2 overall pick out of Ohio State and has lit the league on fire. 2 weeks ago, passed for 470 yards, which was a rookie record. Another exhibit that you'll see up here honors Myles Garrett, and Myles is the youngest player to get to 80 sacks in a career before his 28th birthday, still a young man, and he passed Hall of Famer Reggie White to accomplish that record. Over my other shoulder is the newest case in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and that's for Taysom Hill of the New Orleans Saints. Kind of a jack of all trades for the Saints. I know there's high school players out there who do some of the things he does: quarterback, halfback, receiver, punt returner, kick returner. Taysom just joined Frank Gifford as the only people in the league with a certain amount of receiving touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, and passing touchdowns when Taysom passed for his 10th touchdown 2 weeks ago. And we have shoes, jersey, and the play wristband from Taysom. Those are the kinds of things you'll find up here in the Pro Football Hall of Fame Gallery. Also up here, you'll find an exhibit on flag football, which is taking off across the country. You're seeing more and more high schools in Ohio adopt flag as a sport. Maybe someday we'll see flag as an OHSAA sanctioned sport. We'll see.
In the Super Bowl gallery, you can see artifacts from Super Bowl I, Green Bay Packers against the Kansas City Chiefs, and Len Dawson from Alliance, Ohio, all the way through to the current champion Kansas City Chiefs. Be sure to see the Vince Lombardi Trophy. This is the official Vince Lombardi Trophy that will be presented to the winning team in Las Vegas at the end of this season. Also be sure to see the collection of Super Bowl rings. Nowhere else in the world outside of the Pro Football Hall of Fame can you see every Super Bowl ring from the Green Bay Packers Super Bowl I up through the Kansas City Chiefs. And notice how they've changed over the years from something that looks like maybe your class ring. Do they still do that? All the way up to something now that you could probably hold a door open with. So be sure to see that collection of Super Bowl rings.
It's a museum in a museum. The Black College Football Hall of Fame is housed inside the Pro Football Hall of Fame here in Canton, Ohio. And it's in this area that we pay our respects to all of the members of the Black College Football Hall of Fame, over 100 now, 35 of whom are also members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now, this is a story that may not be appreciated as much in Ohio as it would be in the southern states, but HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, trace their history to just after the Civil War as a way for emancipated slaves to get higher education. And for a long time, African Americans could not be part of major college football, so the HBCUs grew and grew in the South and produced some of its greatest players. Jerry Rice, Walter Payton, Jackie Slater, all members of both the Pro Football Hall of Fame and the Black College Football Hall of Fame. This is an area that the Pro Football Hall of Fame will be expanding in years to come to continue to pay homage to those players who paved the way for others in the game of football. Thanks for taking this journey with us through the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We are looking forward to seeing every one of you on your road to Canton for Ohio High School Athletic Association State Football Championship games, November 30th through December 2nd. But you don't have to come just that weekend. The Hall of Fame's opened 363 days a year, closed only on Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day. Come on down, and if you do come during Ohio High School Athletic Association State Football Championship weekend, your game ticket gets you a 25% discount in this extravagant store where you can find something from all 32 teams and some Hall of Fame exclusives. Thanks for joining us at the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
And we'd like to thank all of our friends at the Pro Football Hall of Fame for their work that put that feature together for this week's show. When we come back, we'll hear from broadcasters around Ohio. This is the OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show.
Here, 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 even here. Never here. Phones down. It's the law. Fines start at $150. Here, 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 even here. Never here. Phones down. It's the law. Fines start at $150.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show. A reminder that all playoff games are on Friday nights this year, and all games kick at 7 o'clock unless otherwise noted. This Friday night, Spectrum News 1 will televise 3 regional championship games. In Northeast Ohio, it's Medina taking on 2-time defending Division I state champion Lakewood St. Edward. In Central Ohio at historic Crew Stadium, it's Hilliard-Bradley facing Upper Arlington. In Southwest Ohio, it's Cincinnati Archbishop Moeller taking on Lakota West. And on Spectrum Channel 314, we'll have Springfield versus Dublin Kaufman. In addition, 15 games will be streamed live by Spectrum at OHSAA.tv. The NFHS network will also stream several more playoff games on Friday night. Search Ohio at NFHSnetwork.com for details. And now it's time to break down the regional semifinals across the state of Ohio and get regional reports from broadcasters. Up first, our friend Aaron Cassidy from Marietta's WMOA with a look at Southeast Ohio.
Thanks, Marty. There are 3 teams left in Southeast Ohio when it comes to teams vying for the Final Four. 1 in Division 5 and 2 in Division 7. We'll start in Division 5. It is the Wheelersburg Pirates who have outscored opponents 129-20 in the playoffs. They were the number 7 seed when all this started. They advanced to the regional final. They will take on Harvest Prep. That game will be played at Joe Burrow Stadium in Athens, Ohio. The other 2 teams in Division 7, they will play each other. It'll be the Eastern Eagles as they beat River 21-14. They will take on Caldwell, who won in a slugfest against Waterford on Friday night to advance to the final, 20-13. Reporting for the southeast part of the state for the OHSAA Radio Network and WMOA, WJAW in Marietta, I'm Aaron Cassidy.
Let's move to the southern part of the state. Now we welcome in Mark Williams from Portsmouth's WNXT.
The Wheelersburg Pirates are the last team standing from Southern Ohio as the Orange and Black prepare for the Division V Region 19 championship game against postseason nemesis Harvest Prep Friday night from Joe Burrow Stadium in Athens. The Warriors have ended the Pirates' season the last 2 years and earlier this season defeated Wheelersburg 32-16 in a Week 6 matchup at Ed Miller Stadium in Wheelersburg. That was the last loss sustained by the Pirates. Wheelersburg enters the game on a roll, having blanked both Afrocentric and Portsmouth by 34-0 scores in the first 2 playoff games. The 7th-seeded Pirates won a hard-fought 26-13 victory over Barnesville last Friday night at Hamilton Township High School. It was a game for the ages for Wheelersburg senior running back Creed Warren, who paced the Pirate attack, carrying the ball 24 times for 291 yards and 3 touchdowns. The win was the 600th for the Wheelersburg program and their 50th ever playoff win. Wheelersburg head coach Rob Woodward has stated that this is the fastest team he has ever coached and is hoping that will be enough to counter Harvest Prep, who has speed all over the field. Harvest Prep cleared their Ironton hurdle last Friday night. Can the Pirates finally break through against the Warriors? Only time will tell. I'm Mark Williams, WNXT Radio in Portsmouth, for the OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show.
And now to Southwest Ohio we go, and our friend Tim Bray joins us from Spectrum TV.
In Southwestern Ohio, the key matchup is Lakota West and Moeller, 3rd year in a row that they've met in the Region 4 final. West built on defense, 21 points given up, and that's it in the playoffs. On the other side, Jordan Marshall has been exceptional since he's been back. He missed 2.5 games. He's been electrifying since in the last 2 games. In Division 2, it is the Raptors of Anderson against the Tigers of Withrow. This is going to be a score-a-thon. Luke Dunn and Chris Henry. What a combination for the Tigers. Brody Berg going to Columbia, 85 career touchdowns for the Anderson Raptors. That's among the state leaders. In Division 3, it's undefeated Baden, state runner-up a year ago, won on the last play of the game last week. They are back against Salina. In Division 4, it is Alter and the Wyoming Cowboys. Alter, second team from the GCL co-ed to make it this far, and of course Wyoming won 75 regular season games. That is a state record. Indian Hill snapped that earlier this year. In Division 5, it's Valley View and Waynesville. That's a Southwestern Buckeye League rematch in the playoffs, and Waynesville won the regular season title. It's depth, there is great games, and we're looking forward to the regional finals in Southwestern Ohio.
Moving on now, Chris Solwecki from the OHSAA Radio Network has a look at games in the north central part of Ohio.
Thanks very much, Marty. We begin in Division 7, Region 26, in a 5-versus-6 matchup between Hamler Patrick Henry and Macomb. Macomb defeated number 7 Lima Central Catholic 45-13 on Friday night, and now will do battle with the 11-2 Hamler Patrick Henry Patriots, who upset the number 1 seed Hopewell Loudon 26-14. These two schools are separated by a mere 21 miles. Local battles are the bomb. In Division 6, Region 22, number 2 Bluffton, number 1 Columbus Grove are set to do battle. Columbus Grove defeated number 4 Cary 37-21, while Bluffton blanked number 6 Toledo Ottawa Hills 34-0. It was the 10th time in 13 games that Bluffton has eclipsed the 30-point mark in a game, and there were 7 games in a row this season from September 1st through October 13th. In which Bluffton threw a shutout. In Division 5, Region 18, the number 1 seeded Liberty Center Tigers are still alive with a perfect 13-0 record. Their opponent this weekend will be number 6 seeded Coldwater, who upset number 2 Milan Edison 42-7. Liberty Center has not scored fewer than 35 points in a contest all season and have 5 times scored 50 or more points. Coldwater, not quite as explosive offensively, but they have allowed more than 14 points only twice all season long. Could be a battle on Friday. In Division 4, Region 14, it's number 2 Cleveland Glenville continuing their march in pursuit of a second straight state championship game when they face off against number 1 and undefeated Sandusky Perkins. Perkins is led by junior running back Isaac Bunce, who averages 136 yards per game and has scored 27 touchdowns thus far in 2023. The Tarblooders have won 5 in a row. And in Division 3, Region 10, it's number 3 Tiffin Columbian, number 1 Toledo Central Catholic on a collision course. Central Catholic has been huge this season, winning all 13 games they've played, never scoring fewer than 28 points. Tiffin Columbian's Tornadoes have been an offensive whirlwind all year long, scoring 35 or more points in every one of their 13 wins this season. And their 2 losses thus far? Bishop Watterson out of Columbus, Sandusky Perkins, both of whom are still on their own playoff journeys. For the OHSAA Playoff Preview Show, I'm Chris Solecki.
We visit now with Ryan Baker from 97.1 The Fan in Columbus for a Central Ohio report.
Thank you, Marty. 7 teams in Central Ohio will be looking to secure a regional championship on Friday night. 18, that's the number you need to remember in Region 2, because that's what you get when you add 6 and 12, the seeds that Dublin, Kaufman, and Springfield are, easily the highest of any region in the state. Kaufman used a suffocating defense to beat the number 2 seed Olentangy Berlin 24-7 last week. They will need that again against the Wildcats, who have won the region the last 4 years. In Region 3, it's a couple of OCC Central foes as number 2 Hilliard Bradley plays number 4 Upper Arlington. Bradley shut out Pickerington North for the first time since 2010, 19-0 last Friday, and UA got 4 field goals from freshman kicker Edward Oakley to hand Gahanna their only loss of the season, 12-7. These two met in Week 6 with Bradley winning 24-22. In Region 11, top-seeded Watterson beat Bloom Carroll 20-10. That avenged a 33-28 loss last season in the regional final. The Eagles will take on 7th-seeded Bell Fountain and Ohio State commit quarterback Tavian St. Clair. In Region 19, Harvest Prep beat Ironton for the first time in 3 tries, 20-14. The win was also head coach Milan Smith's 100 at the program. The 4th-seeded Warriors faced the 7th-seed Wheelersburg in hopes of winning their 4th regional championship in the last 8 years. And in Region 23, the number 2 seed West Jefferson beat Fort Fry 49-30. The Rough Riders boast one of the best sophomores in the state in quarterback Austin Bisher, who accounted for 410 yards and 4 touchdowns last week. They now face the team that ended the season number 1 in the state in Division 6, the 1 seed Garraway. For high school football overtime on 97.1 The Fan in Columbus, I'm Ryan Baker.
And to wrap things up, we head to Stark County Media. Here's TJ Downing.
TJ Downing here with Stark Media and your Northeast Ohio regional report for the Ohio High School Athletic Association state playoffs. In Division 1, Region 1, St. Ed's will take on Medina after the Eagles dispatched Federal League teams Glen Oak and McKinley over the previous 2 rounds. St. Edward will look to add another state championship to its trophy case this year. In Division 2, Region 5, Hoban will take on Walsh Jesuit after these 2 teams met midway through the season when computer rankings first came out. Hoban ranked number 3, Walsh Jesuit ranked number 1. The Knights would make a statement in that ball game, putting up 50 points by halftime en route to a big victory over the Warriors. The number 2 ranked team, Painesville Riverside, that's who Hoban would defeat last week in round 3. A rematch of the regional final inside of Division 2 Region 7 from just 2 years ago that saw the Green Bulldogs defeat the Massillon Tigers down at Arlen Field in Mansfield. These 2 teams will square off this Friday night inside of North Canton's Memorial Stadium. Up at Ravenna in Division 3, Chardon will take on Ursuline. Ursuline leading their ball game last week against St. Joe's all the way up until the 4th quarter that saw St. Joe's come back, push the Fighting Irish all the way to the end as Joe Baylog came in relief of 2K rusher Christian Lynch, and Coach Dan Reardon's team advanced again to face Chardon this Friday night. Inside of Division 4, Stark County's all-time leading passer in yardage and the touchdown king, Poochie Schneider. His Canton South Wildcats out to 13-0 for the first time in school history. They will take on Struthers up at Talmadge. Also in Division 6, big action going on as the number 1 and number 2 seed inside of Region 23. Garraway, number 1, number 2 West Jefferson, they will square off in Zanesville. And finally, down inside of Division 7, Region 25, the Dalton Bulldogs ranked number 1. They will be at Dover's Crater Stadium taking on the undefeated Danville team that comes in looking and smelling upset. This is TJ Downing with your regional report for the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
That will do it for this week's look at the regional final reports from around Ohio. Let's step aside for a few messages from the OHSAA. And when we come back, we'll wrap up this edition of the OHSAA Football Playoff Preview Show.
The game of football has taught me many life lessons that help guide my path to Canton. I've learned no matter the score of the game, It's important to remember to respect your school, respect your opponent, respect your teammates and coaches, and above all, respect yourself. We can all be winners when it comes to sportsmanship. An essential value of the game. Respect is always on display at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Plan your visit today.
No business being out there.
You know, I'm a person too.
Before we wrap up this week's show, a reminder that statewide playoff brackets are available on the OHSAA website at OHSAA.org, along with the football playoff histories of every school in Ohio. Looking ahead to the state championships, all session tickets are on sale at OHSAA.org/tickets. That includes a special ticket package with indoor access in the Stadium Club at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium during and after every game. In our next playoff preview show, we'll go inside the state semifinal pairings and also talk about the OHSAA's Respect the Game program. On behalf of the Ohio High School Athletic Association, I'm Marty Bannister. Production assistance and facilities provided by Yamo Media and Adam Dell. The OHSAA Playoff Preview Show has been a production of the OHSAA Radio Network.